In the heart of Lagos, where the city never sleeps, there's a building people walk past every day but never talk about. On the 7th floor, apartment 7B looks ordinary. Bright curtains. A locked door. Neighbors on each side. But here's the thing. No tenant has ever stayed there longer than 6 months. Some moved out in the middle of the night. Others were never seen again. When I moved into 7B, I thought the stories were just Lagos gossip. But I was wrong. Dead wrong. I had just gotten a new job in Victoria Island. Rent was expensive everywhere, but 7B was surprisingly cheap for such a central location. Too cheap. The landlord barely looked at me when I signed the lease, as though he was eager to hand me the keys and get me out of his office. That should have been my first warning. The first night in the apartment, I noticed something strange. The lights flickered at exactly midnight. Not just in my flat, the entire hallway. It was quick, barely a second, but it happened again the next night. And the next. At first, I brushed it off as a power surge. But then I met Mama F, the cleaner. Mama F. If you value your life, never open your door when you hear the knock after midnight. I laughed nervously, thinking she was just joking. But her eyes weren't smiling. Weeks passed. Life felt normal. Work, food, sleep. But strange things kept happening. At night, I heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow. Heavy. Dragging footsteps. When I checked, the corridor was always empty. Then came the smell. At random hours, my living room filled with the scent of wet earth, freshly dug soil. The smell was strongest near the wall that separated my apartment from 7A. When I asked my neighbor about it, he slammed his door shut without a word. Boom, boom, boom. It was past midnight. I froze. Mama F's warning echoed in my head. Suddenly, my intercom buzzed. The screen flickered on, and I saw myself standing outside my own door, wearing the exact same clothes I had on. But the smile was too wide. The eyes were too dark. I yanked the power cord out of the wall, killing the intercom. When I looked back, the knocking had stopped. But my door handle was slowly turning. I stayed awake until morning. Shaking. Listening. Waiting. The next day, I confronted the landlord. His shoulders dropped. He sighed, sat down, and told me everything. Years ago, a young man had been murdered in 7B. His body wasn't found for weeks. By the time they renovated, he was buried inside the walls. The spirit never left. And every tenant who stayed past 6 months saw him. And those who dared to open the door when he knocked joined him. On the 6th month, I booked a truck. I was ready to leave. But the night before moving, it happened again. Boom, boom, boom. The knock. This time, I heard my mother's voice. Chidi, open the door. It's me. Please. My mother lived in Enugu. There was no way she was there. Tears filled my eyes as I gripped the handle. But then, from the corner of my room, I heard a whisper. Don't open it. I spun around. No one was there. Just the flickering light bulb. I never opened that door. At dawn, I dragged my bags downstairs and never looked back. Weeks later, I got a call from another tenant. A new man had moved into 7B. On his very first week, neighbors heard screaming. By the time they broke down the door, the apartment was empty. No furniture. No clothes. No man. Just that same smell, wet earth, seeping from the walls. To this day, whenever I pass that building, I never look up. Because I don't want to see what might be staring back from the window of 7B. This is the Veil of Tales. And remember, in every city, behind every door, a story waits to be told.